What's going on, everyone? I just want to do a quick video showing my indicators and chart setup and how I approach markets and what I'm looking at and what has worked for me over the years. I've been a full-time trader since 2021, but I started trading in 2017. Bought first Bitcoin, I want to say 2015, something like that, but really got into it heavily since 2021. So this has been a refinement over years, and now I have a system and processes in place, as well as some custom indicators that I've built that I find really useful. So this is how my chart will look, a naked chart, which shows price action with these gray candles that I kind of keep gray and neutral because I have so much other colors and so many other things in the chart that give me indication of trend and if and statements. But the price action is always key. So sometimes I will hide all the indicators and just look at the price action, So consisting of higher highs, uptrend, downtrend, sideways. That's really the three things that the market does. But going to our indicators and adding that in there, I have primarily my EMA 12 is my key guide for trending moves. Like you can see here on the daily, we have EMA 12, we have a daily higher low, and then EMAs catches back up with price, bounce off it again. And these relationships I've learned through my few years at Chart Guys. I'm a member of Chart Guys, and it's a great community that really simplifies the way that markets are looked at, and I've really learned a lot through Dan and Chart Guys teaching through the years. So I have definitely a lot of TCG leanings on the way that I look at markets and most likely scenarios. But then when you get into the nitty gritty of it, I have my own unique things that I look for and use as other pieces of confluence. Also on this chart is these are just oversold and overbought levels. So you can see we're right in smack dab in the middle of daily RSI levels. That's all this is RSI levels. So that's what these lines are here. And this is the only SMA that I use, which is a 200 period simple moving average. And I use it just for an overview of the trend. Like right now on the daily, we are going up, 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 and there's no, like you see here is a period of consolidation and sideways. So you can use it as bullish above, bearish below. And I built this custom indicator for that purpose, which can be tuned and used a few different ways. So if we go into this indicator, which is called SMA Colorshift, there's a few settings so you can change the actual length of the indicator, which is 200 right now. I like the relationship of 200 SMA for simple bullish bearish wall, of price, and using it as an SR flip. And then you can use it right now. I have it set to change color depending on the slope of the SMA. You can also have it change color based on if it's above or below. So here I just changed it to above or below. So you can see we primarily have been above with this price action being a deviation below. So you can set it up like that, or you can set it up as the slope of the SMA, which I prefer because it kind of lets you know these neutral zones and if there's a threat to the trend in any way. On the daily, it's all smoothed out and all up and away, but on some other time frames, it's really useful. And I like to trade kind of when it's flat on like a 4. It's flat on the 4 hour, but we have a trend move in the 15. I can get in on the 15 looking for a change on the larger time frames and then zoom out from there. So it's really a zoom out game, and there's a relationship between all the multi time frames that are really kind of instilled in my brain, and that's what I use to determine most likely scenarios. So yeah, we have the slope set up right now, just what I primarily use. I also, if you don't like all the crazy color, I had a monochrome theme in here as well that just changes intensity of white depending on the slope of the SMA or above and below. But I like the traffic light, which is simple green, yellow, or red, depending on how you have it set up. The other one on here I use is the EMA 12, which I guess let's look at the 4-hour because you have some nice radiation here. So let's go into the EMA 12. This one also has simple settings. You have color options. If you don't like the crazy Skittles on your screen of Miami, which is what I prefer to use because I love the way we get these transitions, and it's just another piece in my brain that says that there's a shift happening from bullish to bearish or bearish to bullish. But there's a few in here. Yeah, sunrise. Right now it's really appropriate because it's fall time. You can get some pumpkin spice latte going on. You got a Western theme, more traditional jungle funk there, and then the same as the SMA. There's a monochrome version as well. So that is the EMA, and I use those together, to determine the trend. And a lot of times these EMAs will act as support and resistance. On Bitcoin, for example, here we had the 12-hour. After consolidation, we started the trend. We had a 12-hour higher low, and you can see the intensity of the EMA gets more green as we get extended. Test this resistance, back down, test it again, and back up. And a lot of times the 12-hour lower highs or higher lows will be hourly oversold on the RSI. So if you look here at like Monday, September 15th, probably hit hourly oversold. We didn't quite hit it, but just about. But a lot of times those are relationships that work together. The same as 15 oversold a lot of times marks 4-hour higher lows. I'm also using the chart guy's back burner indicator in my toolkit, which has nuances, and you learn over time how it works and how it works well with trending moves. So that is a quick overview of the moving averages that I use together with price action and oversold RSIs. That's if I have the chart with no indicators below, which I do also have. So here's regular bounded RSI, which I do like to use for another Kia oversold, and sometimes I use to see if we're running new RSI highs, which you don't really get. Like here we made a new high on RSI, but you wouldn't be able to get that from just the visual on the chart canvas. So I do like RSI, and right now we hit 4-hour oversold with a 22 this morning. I also developed this indicator, which is called Swell, and Swell is really neat. It's my indicator that blends market pressure as a leading signal with money flow as a confirmation. So I use it just to gauge intensity of moves, and price action and MAs are my key bread and butter, but I really liked and wanted something to just show the intensity, taking volume consideration, the shift of price and rate of shift, to see the strength and the weakness of the market round out, cross zero, line up nice with price action. That's another piece to try to nail high probability trades. There is also this surf check HUD that I put down here. So I'm trying to bring some fun into these indicators. You see they're really colorful. They carry somewhat of a surf theme, and we built momentum into this, as well as some key metrics that are cool to just see the health of the trend in a numeral form. This just shows the surf score for the trend. This calculates based on from the 5-minute all the way to the weekly. So right now it's depending on if pressure is positive on these 9 time frames, and figure out the average and calculates based on what the overall health of the trend is. So it just gives me like an overview. If I look in the morning and I'm scanning through charts, and I see a chart that's at a 43, and then I see a chart that's at an 80, I can see the 80 is usually the stronger trend and the stronger chart, even though you can see that by doing the calculations visually yourself, looking at the trends and the price action. This kind of just gives a quick overview. And a lot of times when you're hitting 100, which is like high pressure overbought on literally every single time frame. If you have another reason, if you have liquidity that's being taken, or you have a really high volume climax, gives you another piece of hello, you're at really extended conditions, might want to take some profit, you know. So that's what I use that for. I also have historical RSI levels built into this. So see if we get any historical like 15-minute flushes if I zoom out a little bit. Popping up here. Yeah, so there's one here, right here. Back here we hit 84 RSI on the 22nd of August on this big move. It looks like some kind of news reaction move. I forget what the exact thing was there, but we hit historical levels on the RSI, and then we made a higher high without follow through. EQ broke bear, and it led to a sizable move down of 7%. The same can be said on oversold conditions when you play oversold bounces, and it can be used as another tool for that. We go into the actual indicator. I'm going to go on the 15-minute because it kind of shows nicely this morning the intensity of this move, because we got a big flush overnight. So we had, actually let's go to the 4-hour because I know we had it lining up with the EMAs. Yeah, so I'll look like here we had the higher high without follow through, took this liquidity. Then we had a bear flag yesterday because we only bounced to the 382, and how that's supported by the indicator is, look at this, we had equal pressure, meaning the amount that it took to get this up here was about the same. We didn't have increasing like this right here we see. And then yesterday when we had this move up, we never even crossed. These yellow dots indicate a pressure cross. We never even crossed pressure bullishly. This really shallow bounce into 382, into 4-hour EMA 12, into resistance after breaking this rising wedge bearish. You didn't even get the yellow pressure flip here, and then down she went. So now we're at around negative 74 on money flow, which is stronger than here, stronger than, it's actually a new low since April. So this is a really, it just shows this is a pretty big bearish move, and it would be very surprising to see it V-shape back up here. You know, April and March was the last time we saw levels here as far as the pressure and money flow go. And then these triangles just indicate once you get a cross on the yellow of pressure, you get money flow to confirm that with a cross, and then you get your triangle. So I use it as a lead and follow momentum. So let's look at an example here. So we had pressure cross here first as a leading indicator. Then we had money cross after as a confirmation. And then when we had this next pullback, we had pressure cross, but we didn't have money cross. So it showed there was still some bullish, there's some bullish push on this move. So this could be a higher low area to enter. So if you zoom out, this is probably a daily higher low here. And yeah, a daily higher low to enter. Stop underneath this low, and up and away she went. And then here you had increased money flow into this top. And then we did see a little divergence here where we had the higher high after FOMC last week, but we didn't have any kind of bullish momentum behind it. Kind of similar here on the RSI, and sometimes these show differently than the RSI, so I don't like to lean on them too much for divergences, but just something I noticed here. So it's cool. It's really cool too on like really low time frames. You can use it for flips, and look, we're in 15-second oversold right now. If we go super low, we have 15-second, and then once we come out of this, you'll see the pressure will flip first, and then the money will follow. So here we're testing 15-second EMA 12, which has been resistance for the past 9 minutes. You can use this on every time frame, you know. And for a scalp, if that aligns with something you're looking for, like on a 15-second, you're looking for like a 5-minute higher low, then it could be a zoomed in magnified picture of what you're looking at to get these super tight scalpy entries if you can. So yeah, say we just crossed pressure here, on the 15-second above EMA 12 for the first time. So let's see if money can get that cross, and we'll get that arrow indicator here. You can see our surf score of 56. So I call it swell because I think it just gets this initial bump. So I kind of was thinking of it like, just want these indicators to be fun, and you're out in the ocean, you're waiting for a set to come in, you feel some pressure of some waves coming in, and then it's followed by the actual set. You get a 3-wave set here on the 15 seconds. So we did get the yellow right here with the cross, and now we're looking for money flow to confirm and follow that. But you can see during a period of consolidation here, much shallower waves. And sometimes you get nice rounding out patterns too you can play that lead to a bigger move, but then you have to calculate if it has staying power, it gets larger than this move. This, we just got a big bull move on market open to no follow through. And you can see how that played out, and where your indicator crossed was right here, which wasn't actually below the lows. If you were playing like here and you played until it had the cross, you would be taken out of the move in profit, versus something like this that had staying power. You crossed and you didn't cross again until here. Look at that. Look at the size of that move right there. And you can use it as a scalping strategy too. So here we're seeing if we can get pressure and money flow to work together in the 15-second. I mean, it's going to get noisier and get more false positives on the lower time frame you can, but you can use it on all time frames. But I prefer to look at it on my zoom down time frames, which I usually look at our daily, 12-hour, 4-hour, and hourly, and then anything underneath there is for lower time frame stuff. I also use some ITC strategies with like fair value gaps and Monday's range, and that's what this stuff shows. This indicator is called key levels by Levithan. So I just have it simple to know that we're also in these areas. You have the daily low, Monday low, weekly open, quarterly open, monthly open. I think it's just good to know that there's people that are placing bids around these areas once you get close to them, and they don't overwhelm my chart, but they are there. I use this to just generate automatic order blocks. So it's like a 4-hour order block right here. I know yesterday we had some 4-hour fair value gaps, and the newer names that we looked at ran up, like AVNT. So we use those to just combined with these TCG methods that I've learned over the years. And a lot of times too, it's cool how the 200 SMA works in relation with the larger trend. Like the 4-hour here, we have like a lot of 4-hour touches on this MA and retests. And now we're below it. So we're gonna see if this holds like a deviation, or we get down, test this, and then we get it move up. Could be a possible short because you have flip, 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 but you have to see that's supported by, we have EMA resistance. Now that we retraced most of this move, if we retrace the whole move, the odds are that the next move up is going to be a lower high, is what you're most likely scouting. So I just use everything together, and it makes sense to me. And I just kind of, the moment clicked when I started building my own indicators, and I really like being able to see visually and quickly what setup we're working with and what we're trying to hold, and at a glance what's going on with price. But here, like I said, I like the SMA to be flat. We have the 4-hour flat here, so it's like bullish bearish as far as if we're to hold this or not. If this is a deviation, we go back up, which I think is a less likely scenario here because of what price action did and in context. Yeah, that's a quick overview of what I use. I also use a little bit of volume profile. Depending on the name, I have this is the visible volume profile here. So you see most of the volume traded on this chart that we're looking at right here was around here. So that node was right into where we took the support. So that was a pretty high confidence short that I wish I took, because when I was looking at FOMC last week, I totally said I see I see a scenario where we go up, take this liquidity, and then shoot on back down. And once we had that higher high with no follow through, double top, there was a few different lower highs that you could get in here for positioning for this next move down. If you were even late and you waited for the rising wedge to break and you were conservative, you still had an opportunity yesterday to get in. So hopefully these videos will help me be able to recognize that in the moment and make those decisions a little quicker. But yeah, that's our Swell indicator, which is private right now. If you shoot me a DM, I can set you up an invite on it, but I'm not charging for any of these indicators right now anyway. All free, and I think there's 4 of them. So you have the 3 here you see: Swell, SMA Wave Rider, and EMA Wave Rider, and then this Colorshift. So yeah, the only one that's not on here is an SMA Wave Rider, which is essentially this EMA but for an SMA. You know, we have some little tuning options like thickness, color theme, and what period you're looking at. But other than that, everything's baked in nicely. Anyway, hope this video is helpful, and if anyone wants to use those indicators, check out my TradingView or just shoot me a message. All right, have a good one.